Good afternoon, I'm slightly excited. Behind me is Stockwell Tube Station, about to jump on the Northern Line and head north because I'm doing a new series. Having done least used tube station and unconnected and end of the line in decades, I need a new tube series to help me get round all the tube stations, maybe do all 272 with a video for each in the end, which is why voiceover Geoff is here to excitedly announce why I'm about to get on the Northern Line and head several stops north, like this. Going back several years, one of my favourite online tube-based games is the one where you have to guess the most common words on the tube map. And having replayed the game recently, I came up with that list of what the 10 most common words are on the tube. Which words do you think appear the most? And using that list, I'm going to go and visit 10 stations in this series featuring those top 10 words, counting them down. Which is why I'm heading for Totteridge and Whetstone, a station which has the and ampersand symbol in it. Totteridge and Whetstone is a two-platform affair. Note how on the roundel here, the ampersand is there, and that's interesting because on the in-carriage, in-car dot matrix just now on the way here, it actually said the word and didn't use an ampersand. On the tube map, it all says ampersand. However, I think out of all the stations, and I'll do a summary at the end, all the roundels do have an actual ampersand, apart from Chalfont and Latimer, where you can go online and find photos where some of the roundels at Chalfont have the ampersand and some have the word and. That's how much research I've done into this. And as that Northern Line train leaves, it's worth noting that this hasn't always been an underground station, definitely not part of the Northern Line, and not always an electrified station, as we do the history. So the station opened in 1872 as a mainline railway station, part of the Great Northern Railway, and for many decades it ran with steam trains as a branch line with services going down to Finsbury Park. It wasn't incorporated into the London Underground until the Northern Heights plan, which we've discussed many times before, happened in the 1930s, and Totteridge and Whetstone was then first served by Northern Line electric trains in April of 1940. Really hoping, oh, slight echo, it's an original waiting room, because if that's the case, that would be an original Victorian fireplace. Now filled in, but imagine being here on a cold winter's day, waiting for your steam train to arrive and a nice hot fire glowing in the waiting room. Do you know what? I'm filming this on a Sunday and trains are really frequent. They're like every 2-3 minutes, it feels like it's the rush hour. I thought I'll come on a Sunday when it's quiet. It's not quiet at all, there's loads of trains. Excellent Northern Line service on a Sunday. There's no step-free access at this station, just stairs, which I dutifully counted. There's 32 on each side, although I couldn't work out why the stairs are gated at the bottom. That seems unusual, and I can't recall any other stations where I've seen that before. When the station became part of the Underground, London Transport introduced their design philosophy to the station, and even today, the roundel outside is mounted on this needle-like pole. Known as a finial, the first one of these ever to appear was in 1926 at Westminster Station, and was part of a shift towards the total design era, where every element from the typeface to the vertical flagpole was meticulously engineered to project an image of modern, streamlined efficiency. And the Victorian-era station also used to have a goods yard next door. That's now been turned into a car park, which is where I find myself exploring next. See, this is why you should always get out of stations and have a look and an explore, because I've come into the car park, primarily to find the site where there was an old horse hospital. Bear with me, I'll get to that in a second. And in doing so, I've discovered something which has very much piqued my interest. London Underground sign, Bollard Keys with station supervisor at Totteridge and Whetstone station. And what we have here in the car park is a situation where it looks like there are gates where you could access the tracks, and what that makes me think is that I've seen this on National Rail, especially in Scotland, where they have those vehicles which they drive on as track inspection sort of vehicles. Do they do the same for the tube? Could you drive a track inspection vehicle onto the tracks here? And that's what this accent point is for. If you know, let me know. Also, it's a great place to spot trains. Just get a shot. But I'm totally intrigued by that sign. I've never seen that before. Here's the Northern Line. Now, I mentioned Horse Hospital because TfL would like to increase the number of trains per hour on the Northern Line. But to do so would require space to stable, pun intended, the additional trains, and one possible location is here at Totteridge and Whetstone, where an old plot of land to the side still exists unused. This is from where the Great Northern Railway once owned many horses used for transporting luggage and their horse-drawn bus services, and they used to look after the horses here. It's only a concept at this stage with nothing confirmed, but if it went ahead, it would mean that Totteridge and Whetstone could become a new depot on the Northern Line. Train just pulled in there on the northbound to High Barnet. Was just looking at the line diagram there for the Northern Line, saw that the other station on the Northern Line here with an ampersand in was Elephant and Castle, which is a good segue into discussing all the other stations that have an ampersand in their name. So remember, we're doing the top 10 of the most common words on the tube map, and the ampersand appears 9 times in total, making it the 10th most common word, or in this case symbol, on the tube map. If you want to try and work out the others, then the link to the game where I first played this, as I mentioned, is in the description, but it's much trickier than you might think. But do let me know how you get on. Now, as is often the case when you get to a station that is named something and something, that means there are 2 places nearby to go and explore, which is what I did. To the west, you have Totteridge itself, which is a cute London-style village, along with a church and a war memorial, and outside the front of the church is what experts think is London's oldest tree. The yew tree that is sat here is suggested to be around 2,000 years old. And to the east of the station is Whetstone, where you'll literally find a stone, the artefact after which the area takes its name. The myth goes that soldiers used it to sharpen their swords in the 15th century, but in reality it was more likely used as a mounting block to assist riders up to their horses or into stagecoaches. Either way, it's been here hundreds of years. But that's not my favourite local fact though. I'm just casually standing at bus stop J in Whetstone High Street because Totteridge, to the west side of the station, very much like a village feel, as much as a village can be in London, but Whetstone to the east side, just a couple of minutes walk to the station, high street, shops, cars, buses, and at bus stop J is where the N20 calls. And I've just realised, been doing a bit of research googling, that Totteridge is in the N20 postcode district, so I think this makes it the only postcode district in London where a bus of the same name number also calls through the same named postcode. Does that make sense? And also, I wish I'd have known that from my night bus video about a month ago, because I would have included that as a fact. So the N20 comes to N20. That's amazing. And it's about this point in the video that I'd normally come up with an anagram of the name of the station that I'm at, but I struggled to find one here. So instead, for some wordplay fun, I can tell you that Totteridge and Whetstone has 20 letters in its name, which used to be the joint highest along with Heathrow and High Street Ken. But all those 3 were beaten when the new Battersea Power Station opened back in 2021, and that beat all 3 of those by 1 more character. And that is Totteridge and Whetstone, the ampersand, the and being the 10th most popular word, phrase in our top 10 list on the London Tube map. We will count down the top 10 in this series, and that'll be 10 more tube stations ticked off. I think the idea is, as I've mentioned previously, is to maybe have one video like this, and whatever series they are, to cover the entire tube network. So there will ultimately one day be a playlist of 272 videos, 1 for each station, maybe some kind of interactive map, and you can click on and it takes you to the video for that station. We'll see. But there you go. Farewell from Totteridge and the delightful Whetstone. See you in the next video, and thanks for watching.